ensure the country does not reach a point of no return. He said, "It's a dangerous thing when the population loses faith and confidence in its law enforcement and political systems." The Saran opined that the Police Service Commission process of appointing a commissioner and the deputy commissioner of police was broken, confusing, and overly convoluted. He added, "The counterproductive situation has been crying out for reform or abolition long ago." Former chairman of the Police Service Commission said government should quickly establish a police inspectorate unit to help monitor and assess station-to-station police performance from the ground level up, and quickly report to the police executive any remedial action that may be required. He said such an inspectorate would help support the execution of instructions given on Monday by the Prime Minister at the National Security Council meeting. There is strong support for the imposition of a limited curfew in response to crime epidemic in Trinidad and Tobago, according to the response of a poll question posted yesterday by the Express newspaper on its digital platforms. Iman Shiraz Ali of the El Socorro Noor Islam has called for the imposition of a curfew in some areas of Trinidad with the objective of limited times and people allowed to move freely to commit heinous crimes. Based on Ali's call came a response to the killing of 15 people by gunmen over the weekend. The Express newspaper conducted an online poll which attracted 504 respondents. Of the responses, 74% were in favor of the limited curfew. Power 102 Digital fielded a similar poll yesterday morning, in which results indicated 88% of respondents supported the idea of a limited state of emergency in specific areas of the country to deal with runaway crime. And one former government minister is of the view that TNT is in need of international help to address its crime situation. Dr. Botiwari believes its foreign intervention is required in areas challenging related to the gun trade, issues of the Customs and Excise Division, gang warfare, and border control and monitoring. He still believes there is still hope nationally. Abandoned lots in Chaguanas are being cut by the Borough Corporation, according to Mayor Faiq Mohammed, in light of rising dengue cases. He said the corporation is covering expenses to carry out the venture. The mayor is suggesting government consider passing laws which will address instances where lots are not maintained. The Ministry of Health confirmed that there are 303 lab-confirmed cases of dengue fever in Trinidad and Tobago, and 3 confirmed deaths. The public is reminded that dengue fever may be spread by the bite of an infected Aedes aegypti mosquito. Police are expected to charge a 30-year-old member of the Defense Force in connection with the death of a KISS delivery driver, Neil Balai, some months ago. The instructions given by the Director of Public Prosecution on Tuesday to charge the man with causing death by dangerous driving. Balai of Eccles Street, Spring Village, Valsin, was driving the company's Isuzu truck along the Solomon Hotroy Highway on March 28th when the driver of a black Hyundai Iconic attempted to overtake. As the driver of the Hyundai Iconic swerved between lanes, the car hit the back of the Isuzu truck, causing it to veer off the road and land on its side, pinning Balai. He died at the scene from injuries. The incident was captured on another motorist's dash cam and shared on social media. The footage helped investigators in identifying the driver, who did not stop at the scene of the accident. The 30-year-old man surrendered to police several hours later and was questioned and released days after as police sought to get further evidence. Police said the man has not yet been officially charged, as police have not yet rearrested him. Hours after South Trinidad became inundated with flooding, central and northern Trinidad experienced torrential rain yesterday afternoon, and north-moving showers and thunderstorms intensified across the island yesterday afternoon. Upward of 3 inches or 75 millimeters of rainfall led to street and flash flooding in areas across the east-west corridor between Trin City, Port of Spain, affecting both the Eastern Main Road and the Churchill Highway. Traffic was brought to a standstill in Orange Grove, Trin City. Flooding was also reported in Laventil, San Juan, Curep, El Socorro, Aranjuez, Tacarigua, Mocoya, El Dorado, St. Augustine, and in San Juan. Also across central Trinidad, heavy rain occurred throughout the afternoon, causing street and flash flooding in parts of Chaguanas and the Chaguanas Main Road. Parts of Penal, Debe, and Barpo were also flooded out yesterday. In news of the region, Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt challenges sectors of society to advocate and be more vocal on the matter of climate change, he said, which is affecting everyone. Speaking during a tour of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which was hit by Hurricane Beryl on Tuesday, he observed oftentimes the issue of climate change is left to government alone to deal with. And finally, prominent Democrat Adam Schiff, a California congressman running to be the next state senator, has called on President Joe Biden to pass the torch to another Democrat to challenge Donald Trump this coming November. Mr. Schiff said that Biden has been one of the most consequential presidents in the nation's history, and he could secure his legacy of leadership by allowing another Democrat to gain support from candidates. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Good morning, neighbors. It is 7 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock on this, the 18th day of July. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. It is the hour's turn this morning. We just heard from Dr. Paul Richards with our news brief. He'll join us on the show. We'll hear from Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Ruben and Shane in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Khan. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. It is 24 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 25 in a beautiful sister isle of Tobago. And the Met Office has updated their weather forecast, and they're saying partly cloudy to cloudy conditions with scattered light to moderate showers. There's a 40 to 60%, which is medium, chance of heavy showers, thunderstorm conditions. Conditions are expected to become more settled by evening. All right. Maximum for today, 32, 31 in Crown Point. Before I say hellos to those on our message boards, good morning to you, Pablo. What's shaking?
Morning, everyone. Good morning. Thursday morning to everyone.
Yeah, morning to you, my friend. Hope all is well. It poured in Baratare yesterday when I couldn't even get out of the car. That amount of rain. I said this rain usually pour for like 5 minutes and then it stopped and it continued. Because flooding on the highways again by Courts and Trinity area. And of course, our thoughts go out for those in Barrackpore and Penal that had some flooding yesterday, for overnight rains yesterday. Let me tell you, seeing water rise and you can't do anything about it is something else, you know.
Yep.
It's something else. All right. Good morning to you, Wendy and James. DJ Ray out in Delaware. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida, that is. Good morning to you, Ray. John Cato. Boy Bedesi out in Davie. Brent Hackshaw. Wayne Bennett. D. Pierre. Got Silly. Marcia Rock in Orlando. Carol Guevara in Chicagonas. Will Cordes, Rena Mudu Jennings, Sheldon Roach, Cynthia Aaron, Isasha out in London, Nina Simone Descent. Morning to you, Michael Robinson in Japan, Business Prasad, Alistair Hart, Wayne Ramsey, Gloria Gray, Daniel Knights. Good morning, David Wares, and of course, Mrs. Wares watching us on Me TV this morning. DL, Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona, CJ New York, Marcia Rock out in Orlando, Slick Money Grip, Daniel Knight. Well, messages, I tell you. Angela Collier Lewis, good morning to you. Let me check what's up here. Holy Maloney's, look at messages. GNC Auto Security, Michael out in London.
They'd have to do all one time, right?
David Nelson. Yeah, because when we get into chatting, we won't have time. Oliver Man Warren, Val, Danraj, Big E, Captain Ron, who's home. and Sankofa. Home in Orlando. Morning to you all. You're getting some serious heat. Yeah. Righty-o.
See, I told you people like my polls. My polls are very popular, you know. The Express took my poll yesterday. Borrowed my poll.
They borrowed your poll, of course, or poll yesterday.
I told you all that yesterday, and I told you all.
You did say that.
I said TV6, but same company.
Yeah. Don't know why you don't give me 6 numbers. Our poll this morning: should our laws be changed to be able to enact limited states of emergency in specific areas?
Well, the Express poll was about the imposition of a limited curfew in response to the crime epidemic.
Yeah.
On its digital platform, they had 74% saying yes and 26% saying no, and ours was 88% saying yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think the crime situation is on everyone's lips now. It's on everyone's lips.
But people just fed up and desperate, and they
fed up.
I am fed up. They are perturbed by the unsuccessful attempts of the police service. Let me put it that way, because I mean, no matter what targets they give themselves, they don't even meet the targets that they give themselves. You know, so
exactly,
I mean, people are frustrated. So, you know, when I heard, as I said yesterday, when I heard the Prime Minister say yesterday that coming out of the meeting of the National Security Council, they're going to be coordinated and focused. I mean, but aren't you all coordinated?
How many times he said that?
But aren't you always coordinated and focused? What were you trying to say? They were uncoordinated and unfocused before? So telling me that they're going to be coordinated and focused kind of raises my eyebrow, because I would imagine that, given what we've experienced last year was the record number of murders, that they would have been for decades now or years now more coordinated and focused. They're going to get they're going to get even more coordinated.
I know.
Good morning to the people who are going to jump out themselves on the chat. Good morning, Ragoobarsingh.
Morning. I just going out to come back in.
Okay.
Oh boy, I tell you, Raghu is something else, you know. But yeah, I don't know.
But when I hear those things, I just kind of stoops, because it's like rhetoric.
Yeah.
You know? And as I said, they should, and Wendell is right, and Wendell says it also, they should just stop making these statements and show results.
That's it. Action speaks louder than words.
Morning, Ragoobarsingh.
Hi, morning, guys. And morning to our listeners and viewers, wherever you are.
Yeah.
Even though my camera is not on.
That's all right. You can see this. I'm sure you can see this. Come on. That's some scenes from Jose yesterday. Absolutely. I thought I'd give you all a smile this morning, you know.
Really?
Yep. One of the beautiful parts of Trinidad and Tobago.
I love Tassa. Love it.
I could see you playing Tassa.
Yeah, I love Tassa.
I could see you with that drum on your belly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know you can reach the drum.
I'm so glad that the music is drowning out everything you're saying. Nobody can hear you.
I think I could see the drum on your belly. I think they heard it clearly now.
Really? I love Tassa. Look at it. Listen to this. Let me play some Tassa for you. Let me play some Tassa.
Yes, Ragoobarsingh, you there?
Yeah, I am.
The Express told my poll yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it last night. Oh, you mean on the
I told you earlier when you steal the pool.
Yeah.
The pool is very
I see.
popular, you know.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I was somebody was talking to me, this is just random. Remember I talked to you all about that whole Arima smart city thing
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and what's going on with it, and that it's very bad PR because you're not hearing anything, any status update. There is nothing fueling excitement for the buy-in of Burgesses in what is supposed to be, I assume, an exciting, pioneering concept because
One would
Arima
think
is
so. One would
Arima
think
is supposed to be, Arima is supposed to be the template for the rest of the country. You would think there would be PR to go along with it, and so it's being, in my view, incompetently handled from a PR point of view. I don't know if that's the state or if that's IDB or if it's both. But that's just my opinion on it. But anyway, they have built this data center by the market. For those of you in Arima who know that they have sectioned off a portion of the market, they built up thicker walls and stuff, and they built this data center and they put up the sign, which is where it would operate, one of the main points from which it would operate in terms of equipment and stuff like that. There are just two windows to the front for whatever kind of light access and stuff like that. You know, I went investigating, so to speak, to find out, well, what's going on. One of the problems is they did not include any toilets or bathroom facilities in that part of the building for people who are manning that station, manning that part. They built the toilets about 100 to 150 feet in the market itself. So they have to walk through the entire market. If you want to go to the bathroom to relieve yourself, you have to walk through about 150 feet around, give or take, through the market to get to the bathroom facilities that they've assigned to you, rather than actually when they were building that facility, just including bathroom facilities right there and then. First engineering mistake as far as I'm concerned. So there is now a pause because it's now apparently become an issue. This is people from the ground telling me this. I don't know how true it is, but that's what they say. Another problem now, to the front of the markets, they're starting to construct these kind of booths where people used to sell. So you'd have people on tables selling whatever in front of the market, including doubles. So they start constructing these concrete booths in front of the market, ostensibly to put these vendors. In front of the same window that provides whatever degree of natural light to that center that I talked about, there was a doubles man. They built a booth for the double man. They block off the whole window section, and the signage that put up saying, data center, whatever, all of that getting blocked now because they built up a booth. I don't understand where the logic and planning is with anything. I can't say for the country, let me just say in that Arima district, and what level of incompetence is operating in terms of that whole issue. I have no clue, and I just laying that on the table. I have no clue.
But you have an energetic mayor.
But I don't know, the mayor's obviously clueless about what's going on with that.
But you
nobody knows what's going on. I know Trinidad.
All his experience in business, success in business to the borough and transform the borough. Is that the reason why you're putting mayor in place?
Yeah, but nobody see they're going and block up the windows.
Energetic dynamism you're supposed to bring.
Yeah, but my point is, Paul, when you're designing things, don't they operate with a plan? And when you go into the plan, does the plan have some sort of approval process? And do you say, we need bathroom facilities, let's put it 100 and something feet away? Why not just incorporate it into the building one time?
Why?
Is that so difficult to do?
Common sense, rather, man. Common sense.
Ain't all that common.
So you want whoever inside there, RL Filter P. Yeah. Give me 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
What? I don't. It is bewildering to me. Bewildering. That level of ad hoc, it comes across ad hoc. That level of seemingly ad hoc planning, you would think is a thing of the past. That's Trinidad of yesteryear.
No, that's right.
But apparently it's not so yesteryear as you think it is. So I don't know. It's just like I'm watching the same video I sent to you all, which that I sent in the Power Breakfast group with the police officers that needed assistance in the maxi taxi compound of Citygate. And so 2 policewomen needed assistance. They asked a taxi driver to help them, and he said, no, you're not getting involved. And they came back the following day and arrested him for not assisting the police. A version of that.
Yeah, because I saw you said it to me, and your volume a little louder, you're getting the feedback.
Yeah.
The assisting officers in the execution of duty is liable or not assisting officers when instructed. In the execution of their duty is liable to summary conviction and a fine of $10,000 and to imprisonment for 2 years, 60, if a person is called upon to assist a police officer who is, while in the execution of his duty, assaulted or resisted, or in something is being assaulted or resisted, such person refuses or neglects to assist accordingly without a reasonable cause, he's able on summary conviction to a fine of $10,000 and to imprisonment for 1 year. But you got to lock me up.
Yeah, but it's unusual. It's an unusual. I mean, assuming that the maxi taxi driver who's relaying the story and all of these facts are correct, it's an unusual enforcing of the law, because you don't really see that law enforced much, but because it may in fact be a law. I'm assuming that law is a valid law in our books, but it's an unusual enforcing of it, especially and the maxi taxi driver in that video is making some good points. He's saying in these days and times, he may not want to assist because these people could come back for him. They're coming back for the police officers. They're coming back for him because they know he working there. Precisely. But so that is one level of when I watched that video. The other level of when I watched that video is, since I am in St. Mary's College as a student, Citygate looking the same way.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're just seeing glimpses of it in the background. Eh? But what is keeping us back from building and renovating and having a pristine commuter facility for citizens of this country at that venue that's modern, that's aesthetically pleasing to the eye? When you go to commuter centers in main centers in other countries, they make an attempt to make sure it's aesthetically beautiful and organized and efficient, and you could walk around and it looks so beautiful. What is stopping us from doing that? I mean, I've talked about this before, but when I watch that video again and I'm watching all the turns and concrete and everything looking kind of dilapidated in the background, I'm like, what the hell?
And when people
why do we accept that?
When people come out,
and why
there's a puddle of water.
And why do politicians, and I'm not even calling party because both parties I find guilty of this, why are they those so disregarding of the citizens of the country? Because Citygate is by far the largest commuter center in the country, by far, leaps and bounds.
But they don't use it.
And you can't find money to spend to make sure that is as pristine and as beautiful and something for citizens to be proud to come to. Nah, man. In 2024.
Turn on your volume a little bit.
I don't know if he could do that.
Yeah.
You're quite loud.
I'm going to transfer shortly, so.
Okay. We've asked the Minister of Transport over and over again about not only Citygate, but public transportation in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's a business state inclusive of Citygate and other transit centers, if they want to really deal with traffic, because the only way to deal with traffic in any developing country is to have an effective, attractive, reliable, efficient public transportation system. And he has told us they are working on a mass transit national policy with the IDB and yada 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 and yada diddy da. Yet that dump that they built there 25 years ago is the centerpiece of our transportation hub system that they clearly don't care that it is substandard. Clearly, and you're right, is administration after administration refuse to see or are feel incapable of upgrading that, which has so much potential to be a money generator as a transit hub. They could have daycare, they could have mall, they could have this, like any other transit center that they all visit when they travel.
Yes.
But apparently the people of Trinidad and Tobago are not worthy of that.
Nope.
So you have chicken wire coming down a fence to hold on to walk into a puddle, to jump over a moat to get to a maxi.
Yep.
That's
embarrassing.
And when it rains, you have to get a pirogue to get across to the other side of the road. That is what we deserve. So you take that. That's what we deserve. No matter who in power, that's what we deserve. So we take that. That is the best.
Yeah, it's a recital of that chorus line that I always say that I think it's on a handbook for politicians that when they enter parliament, there's a handbook and that says that good enough for them.
That good enough for them. You take that.
And so everything, decisions are made on,
we got to get through that.
But another point, another of my pet peeves is that you ever went by Breakfast Shed? You ever look at Breakfast Shed from Ryson Road? It is a yellow tarpaulin that is just covered in filth. Yes, come eat here. All the cruise ships coming in, come eat here, but filth everywhere.
But a lot of the vendors in Breakfast Shed have left. It's just a few remaining now,
Yeah.
No love and attention. No love and attention.
It's just, and you want me to go and eat there and it's looking so nasty on the outside? No. Those who passing on Ryson Road now, look at it. The tarpaulin up and down and dirty and filthy. But visitors come, Hyatt right next door.
That good enough for them.
Let's say good morning to the people along the east-west corridor, Central, Trinidad, Bay, Barrackport, St. Augustine, and Dorado, who were flooded out yesterday.
That was rain. That was rain.
I hope you're all back together.
All right. For those, 1 second, Paul. For those on that watching us on Me TV, yes, it is sticking, it is scrambling, it is not, we have no control over that. So the messages come in and so on. We have no control what's going on the screen.
I'll send a message to
Peter! Ebony TV, fix it!
No, but Citygate is...
And Peter told me that when the field is affected for the Power Breakfast show in the morning, they get a lot of calls,
Yeah.
About what's going on. He said they do get a lot of calls. He said it's amazing the amount of...
Some years ago, during the PNM's first term from 2015 to 2020, the Prime Minister initiated something that's called a manpower audit report of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. You remember that, right?
Yep, I do.
A lot of hullabaloo about it. It was aimed at doing a scientific assessment of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It was chaired by well-known criminologist and former president of the Police Service Commission, Professor Ramesh Devasran, our friend to the show. It generated this voluminous report, which was very scientific in nature. On that committee was the present Commissioner of Police earlier here with Christopher, which went through several areas of police operations and assessment of it, including public trust and confidence, HR, and one of the recommendations was to create a police inspectorate, a body within the police service to look at police operations and assess on a monthly basis. It was to be a permanent institution in the police service that would look month to month, week to week at police operations, station to station, performance from ground up, and make transformative changes in the police service to make it a more efficient service. Professor Diosran yesterday, when asked about the crime by the Express newspaper, said, he's confused as to why a manpower audit commissioned by the Prime Minister, head of the National Security Council, has done little to implement almost anything in that manpower report. Why we just waste time on them things?
And money.
Yeah? Why do we, and so the report was endorsed by the Prime Minister and the then Minister of National Security, I think Stuart Young. And they're talking about they're going to be more coordinated now after the weekend of carnage. They're going to be more focused now, suggesting to me that they wasn't coordinated and focused before, or as coordinated and focused as they should be. And you have this report that was who the present commissioner was part of and signed off on, doing diddly squat about implementing a lot of what was. Well, let me not say that because they're working through the HR, some of the HR issues. But apparently, I have said it over and over, our police service don't really want to change. They want to continue doing the same thing they did, how they did it 20 years ago and 30 years ago, in an evolved criminal environment, and think they're going to get results. Continue. Are you going good? We'll have an emergency meeting in a couple of months again after unfortunate but predictable surge on a weekend, and we will put out the same press release we put out for the last 5 times. There was an emergency session of the National Security Council. Attended in the session, I could recite it like a poem. Head by the Prime Minister was the Minister of National Security, the Minister of Public Utilities, the Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs, the Minister of this and that, the Commissioner of Police, the Head of Defense, who else does have? The divisional heads. And we came up with a plan of action to deal with the rising crime in light of what happened this weekend. It's like a poem. It's like a poem. Nobody didn't jump out in the chat yet? What? We're still this morning? Later on this morning, we'll be having Dr. Lisa Indar, who is the acting interim head of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARFA, to get a sense of how the region is dealing with dengue fever and how Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the region should protect themselves. Given that we have now 303 confirmed cases via lab and 3 confirmed deaths, and seemingly challenges in many areas in Central and South Trinidad. Everybody going out? Ragoobarsingh is still there? Yes, 3 lab confirmed deaths and 303 lab confirmed cases of dengue fever in Trinidad and Tobago. I see one of the newspapers is reporting that, is that it? Nobody hearing me? Or everybody else going?
Yeah, kind of now transferring, so give me about 5 minutes.
The police service a police service source has indicated that the file of the Hannah Mathura case, that horrendous case that we all spoke about so fervently some months ago, where the skeletal remains of a girl was uncovered in her family's backyard. The parents disappear for a while, and I think it was one of the siblings who tipped off the police about what may have happened to their sibling many, many years ago when she disappeared. Seems headed back or has been sent back to the DPP, and they expect charges to be laid. But this is what the newspaper is reporting. I don't feel so at all. I don't think anything will come of that. We should open the phone line, Steve.
Let's do that.
I don't think anything will come of that. Not one thing.
Nothing. All right. You know the numbers. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Morning there. Go ahead.
Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, my dear.
You know, President must be set because that incident to the maxi taxi driver and the police, I never, ever, ever thought that you could be arrested for not assisting. So, if they want to, the police that is, if they want to have zero tolerance on that, if they want to so much to enforce the law concerning that, then they should enforce the law in everything else. Because I find it was, I mean, if they said that the law, I find that wasn't fair because the man don't want to take no chances. You don't know what could happen to him after that, you know? So, if they're doing something, they better start and continue. Just don't do one and a one-off thing because, you know, the two policemen, women were involved.
Yeah.
No,
You
you could give a reason why you can't assist, you know. Me, I'll see my big toe hurting me.
Oh, your back set? Yes,
And I right now, I'm feeling like I do have my full strength because I have a bad headache, and I do have the strength to assist because I wouldn't be any help to you.
I find it so unfortunate. And the other thing, you know, when DCP Benjamin said after all these massacre thing happened over the weekend, you know, for him to come in that news conference and say that the police will have, you know, what you call this thing? Visible police presence. So it wasn't visible all the time.
That's the point. You all keep making these statements like if you wasn't doing that all the time.
Yeah, everything what they said, everything what he said didn't even make sense because apparently they were sleeping and just woke up and heard that their first time in Trinidad and Tobago, they have so many murders. So they weren't doing anything at any time. Better they shut them out because we want to hear something, yes, but when we hear it, it's better. It sounds like nothing anyway. So that's it.
All right. You too there. Have a good one. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I got up kind of late this morning. I got up when Richard was ranting and raving. Just imagine the mayor of San Fernando put a lot of booths wrap around a landmark, which is the library, with a lot of booths selling fruits and whatnot. What would it tell you to do something like that? And now this new mayor built something like, let me see, about 10 feet by 6 feet iron thing for vendors to sell in front of San Fernando market. The market, if you have to buy something in the market, you have to drive around about an hour to park somewhere else than to walk in the market. That is how it was before. I told the last mayor, put some slanted white line so people could drive in and come in the market, buy what they want and leave. So now they have some permanent structure trying to make preparation for vendors. The vendors not using it. Vagrants sleeping on it. Down here is a hot mess, Richard. They wouldn't talk to the elderly people or the citizen or somebody before they do this nonsense. So a lot of long iron things just line up in front of San Fernando market with nothing on it but vagrants lying down. And I know they spend a lot of money on that. Who is thinking in this place? If the last mayor they put the little lines where you come down Mokorabo Street, you're driving, you put a little water, some not people to stay for a whole hour. So people could come in the market. I don't know how people in the market just make money. I really don't. Richard, I feel what you're feeling. I complain and like is I alone living in San Fernando. San Fernando just taking it. Nobody complaining.
Going down San Fernando,
They have no tempo. Thanks, Mr. San Fernando.
Water Steel Orchestra, jamming sweet.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. Steve, I don't know if you have any control over this, but on the flow...
Yeah, we have no control over that. Yeah, we don't have no control over that.
I'm both Peter Lewis again.
Yeah, I know I'm getting a lot of complaints about it. It has happened before.
Okay, I'm from my experience with it.
Yeah, it has happened before, and I did for a couple of days, actually. Paul is working on it.
Paul, I'm glad that you picked up on the statement made by the police because I too found it to be moronic when they said something about all stations are on a heightened alert now and they're going to whatever foolish statement that they made which hinted to me that the police wasn't focusing on crime all the time. Before there's 15 people dead this weekend. The 300 are dead, the 200 are dead for the year so far. They wasn't really focused by that. But 15 dead this weekend, so they're now on heightened alert. Or they're now serious. It just sounded asinine to me. Right? And I think the police is better off not making speeches because they're just thinking. They know they say when they
How could you say something like that? You want to upset Vianney Warwood or what? What's wrong with you?
You know when they say,
are you trying? No, don't say stuff like that. Withdraw that statement, sir.
I'm on my legs, Paul. I'm on my legs. You understand?
Vianney said, Paul, do you believe the COP is them big man mother so she can get them to do anything she say? Well, I think that's part of accepting the job of leader of the service, ma'am.
Commissioner of Police. You ought to be the mother is the boss. We are more important than the mother is the boss. In an institution that thrives on instructions.
So she's not the mother, so she can't get him to do what she wants. Okay, let's just accept that.
And that's the problem. I said it yesterday. The government don't need to make excuses. We just make excuses for them, for incompetence, for failure, for lack of delivery. We just make the excuses for them. You understand? And I'm glad that you read what you read there, Paul, because I didn't know it was a law that a police could give you an instruction to assist. But there could be 1,050,000 excuses this man can fabricate.
I wasn't feeling well. I had some vomiting last night, and I just not officer, and I can't help. I'd love to help, but I can't help today.
Back pain. I have a
back. I can help next week.
There's 1,050,000 issues that case will get through.
I would have said, Zena had me really, really exhausted last night, and I'm depleted of energy and strength today to assist.
That would work.
But I can try tomorrow if I'm feeling better.
That would work.
I mean, there's 1,050,000 excuses.
So we're going to ask the question this morning. If an officer asks you to assist in the execution of their duty, will you comply?
Yeah.
You should have, if you can.
You're so right with your statement, with yours and Steve's statement this morning. When the partner stringing back for somebody, they ain't stringing back for the police. Because they know the police might be armed. But guess what? Your dumb fool tail who is driving it with a maxi, who will have a fixed place to be every trip, you know where you're going to be, is now at risk. In this day and age, with people walking up to people selling water in the middle of a street in Port of Spain and shooting them in the head and getting away scot-free. We're on broad daylight and in the middle.
She's not the mother. What's wrong with you?
4 people and get away.
She is not their mother.
You could block out a businesswoman in a car in San Fernando, shoot up the car, kill the woman, and get away scot-free. And so many more. You could be detained in a station and get released, and men come and meet you outside the station as if they knew when you would have been released. And turn you down outside the station and get away scot-free.
Lincoln.
Yes, Paul.
She's not their mother.
Okay, then. Let me get somebody else a chance.
Okay, let's get into the papers. I think Richard is transferring.
Yeah, he's trying. He didn't bring breakfast for me this morning.
Okay, right. So it's Thursday, the 18th of July. Let's start with the Express online. I'm sure Richard has papers, maybe when he gets upstairs, he'll tell us what the physical copies are saying. Let's start with the Express. Missing Donny found murdered in Pittsburgh. Justice at last. Apparently, the driver of the car that hit the KISS driver months ago, turning over the car and the man died, is to be charged. Ministry 3 dengue deaths, 303 cases. Crime is round the clock. What will a curfew achieve? Babash warrant executed 21 years later. Strong support for a limited curfew. You all need to pay us for that poll. Set up police inspectorate. Criminologist Professor Amish Diasaran has called on government to quickly establish the police inspectorate, and the Minister of National Security could instruct them to do that. Yeah? I think so anyway. Charge soldier, DPP instructs. If Ragoobarsingh come back, let me just check. He can come back yet. Right, let's move to the Guardian online. Flooding in Penal, Dengue leaves residents trapped after 3 hours of rainfall. Tanku calls for swift action to help flood ravaged residents. Rain leads to traffic pileup, flash flooding in North Trinidad. The Guardian front page is flooding SOS. Lawyers for Tobago magnate claim plans afoot to stop his business. File on Hannah Mathura case back with DPP. TTSPCA manager laments rise in animal cruelty. Makila laments TNT's gun violence epidemic. Widow cries tears of joy as DPP orders charges in delivery driver's death. 16-year-old boy dies after contracting dengue. Sad news.
Yeah, boy.
And the Couva residents call for draining of dengue pond. Let's move to the news day now. Picture of a man playing a Tassa with the Tasha's behind him. Jose commemoration ends in St. James. Slain Piaco man's family warned him about environment. Commissioner of Police shoots for 10% reduction in murders. She's not a mother, so. Charges for soldier in case of driver's death. I shouldn't be laughing when I'm reading this. Let me recompose myself. Charges for soldier in case driver's death in Couva. Taxman granted bail for tax fraud. Couva man found dead in Pittsburgh. Ex-police informant acquitted of gun charge. And those are the main stories trending in your 3 daily newspapers for today.
All right. Thank you so much, Paul. That KISS driver, you know, that story. Anyway, our morning poll where we asked you yesterday, should our laws be changed to be able to enact limited states of emergency in specific areas in our beloved Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago? Results are in. 78% said yes. Yes. Now, let's get into this morning's poll and answer yes or no. No comments, just yes or no. And in regards to these 2 WPCs that arrested a maxi taxi driver at Citygate yesterday, because the day before, the same officers asked him for help in arresting an individual, and he said no. He said no. So they waited for him at Citygate. That's where all our resources are going, to arrest the individual. So, our morning poll.
Oh, y'all did papers already? Because I have papers.
You could go ahead quickly. Just do the front page, just do the back page.
All right. So the Newsday for today, front page. Sister of dengue patient in ICU appeal saved my brother's life. Charges for soldier in KISS driver's death and heavy rain flood in Penal and Barrackpore. That's on the front page of the Newsday. The Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today, the front page. Flooding SOS. Residents of Penal environs marooned in their homes after 3 hours of rainfall. Country records 3rd dengue death, and social media user to pay close to $1 million in damages. Front page of the Daily Express for today. Soldier slapped with 4 charges in death of KISS driver Neil Balai. Justice at last is the headline, and the other subheadline, flooding nightmare and dengue claims third life. That's it for the three dailies and an abridged version, just giving you the front pages of those three dailies.
All right. Will you comply and assist police officers in the execution of their duties as is required by law? Would you? Yes or no? 222-8255, toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on WhatsApp at 318-1021. Will you comply and assist police officers in the execution of their duties as is required by law? I just have to laugh.
And we're talking, specifically about, when the poll is vague, they're like, well, it depends on what is the execution of duties. I have to hand over my CCTV footage, yes, but we're talking about the circumstance of they're arresting somebody and they say, hey, help us subdue this man.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get some votes. We have some votes coming in already. Cheryl Henry on YouTube says no. Josie Richardson, no. Gloria Gray, no. David Wares, nope. Susie B, no. Joe Sam out in Yokohama, Japan. Hi, Joe Sam. Hope all is well. No. Keith Bisessa.
I just look young and I old.
I mean, yes. Keith had voted before. Okay. Stephen Grant, absolutely yes. Brent Hackshaw, no. Slick Money Grip says yes. What says you? Let's check WhatsApp here. A lot of votes coming in. Somebody says hi. Somebody else says no to the poll. Captain Ron says no. What is this? Southman. Oh, Southman, no. Okay. Bobby, absolutely not. Bobby. Central Animal Lover says yes to the poll. And my daughter says yes as well. Alrighty. Val says no. Black Pearl says yes. And what says you, caller?
Good morning, gentlemen. Mi amor, that
Buenos dias.
at work. And Steve, stop appalling, eh? Stop the appall. You're an appoller.
Right. What?
Well, you ever heard us say the appoller is worse than it is? Steve is appalling. He said, yes, that would work. That would work. Steve, don't involve my name in Kankatang.
Me?
And hell no, that is the police.
All right.
Walk.
Thank you.
That is the walk.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Hi.
I can't. I'm having my monthlies. No.
Thank you.
I make my head scratch my ears. I need to say prove it.
Oh, cheese on hinges.
What are you going to do? Supply proof. When you think of a reasonable excuse, you could be excused there. That's the thing. That's what the law say.
All right.
Without a reasonable cause, you could decline with reasonable cause.
Yeah. Brent Hackshaw says no.
It's who decided no reasonable or not.
Says yes. Evans David says no. Michael Robinson says no. Could we just get yes or no's, please? Wayne Bennett, no. Julia S. Batiste, no. Andre, yes. DL, yes to the poll. Ish out in Malik says, of course not. CJ New York, no. Khadijah Khan Jr. morning. You Phil Corday says no. Okay, let's see. All right. Will you comply and assist police officers in the execution of their duties as required by law? Yes or no?
That's our poll. 222 Talk, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on our streaming platforms, you can send your votes via the messaging portals there. And if you're watching us on hopefully M&E TV cleared up, or listening to us on smart devices, you can WhatsApp us at 318-1021.
Yeah. Of course, today is the start of the second test of West Indies versus England. West Indies won the toss and decided to bat. England were at 4 runs, 1 wicket. Now that 82 runs with 1 wicket. All right. Good morning, caller.
Morning, New Jersey. No.
All right, Jersey. Thank you. All right. Let's get those votes going. Yes or no?
What he just said? He said yes or no?
I said just
You
yes
know
or no on our poll. Vote via WhatsApp at 318-1021. Right? Will you comply and assist police officers in the execution of their duties as required by law? Hey, Ragoobarsingh, come give me a hand here to arrest Paul. Me? Nah. Sorry. Then they come back the next day and arrest Richard for not helping. Well, convenience of the lawyer. Finbar Collins says yes. And hitting, kicking, and cuffing as well. Oh, Lord. And of course, that is going to go to court. And of course, it'll probably be thrown out.
Oh, you know that?
I said probably. Could be thrown out. I don't know. We don't even know in the next 5 minutes holds. All right. Coming up in a minute and a half, we have major news with Evie. And of course, Sir Charles is not in today as well. So let's grab this call. Yes or no, caller?
Paul, your polls are vague this morning. It's iffy.
Will you comply and assist police officers in the execution of their duties as required by law? Yes or no?
Vague or not, you're still taking it.
No to the poll.
You're still handling it. Vague or not, you're still playing. Come on. Try your best.
Yeah. All right. You got a natural mistake there, Richie Rich? No.
Yeah.
I've got somebody else here, Howard, saying no. Thank you, Howard. First time you sending us a WhatsApp. Thank you so much. Let's see. Vianney Warwood says yes. Cynthia Aaron says no to the poll. All right. Let's get those votes going. Of course, it will stay up until tomorrow morning on our mobile app, which you should have by now, or our website at power102fm.com. Okay?
So in a situation like that, and you assisting the police, and let's say it's a difficult citizen.
And you get hurt.
And you get hurt. Who's liable?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Who's liable?
Do you have insurance covering you?
Or God forbid you get killed.
Go to the general hospital. It's free.
And you're right, Richard, when you said, next thing you assist, and they know where you're working because you're a maxi driver, and the police is gone, and them swing back, look and wait for you. which is quite possible in this environment.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Where is she? Is she there yet? Morning, Avril.
Morning.
How are you? She's sorting out her clips. News is next. And Steve, remember to turn the camera. Yeah? People don't want to see you. They want to see Avril.
All right, let's get into our 8 o'clock major news. AV is in. 7 o'clock.
Is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Floods caused by heavy rains yesterday affect residents of Rock Road, Penal, and its environs. Charges for soldier and KISS driver's death in Cuba. Criminologist Professor Ramesh Deosaran calls on the government to quickly establish police inspectorate, and the Ministry of Health confirms another dengue death. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bob. Good morning. Heavy rain began around 10 p.m. on July 16th with the passage of a tropical wave affecting residents of Rock Road, Penal, and its environs. While the rainfall lasted around 3 hours, its effects continue to be felt by many well into Wednesday. Social media reports of street and flash floods across Penal, Dengue, and Maracpur could be seen by 1 a.m. By 9 a.m., the water receded in many parts of Rock Road, only remaining in areas most prone to being inundated, such as in front of Rock Road Hindu Primary School, Merchant Trace, and Goodman Trace, which were only accessible with high vehicles like pickups or trucks. The Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government said there were also reports of flooding in Lower Barrackpore and the corner of GP Road and New Colonial Road, Barrackpore. Unlike previous incidents, only a few homes were flooded in Penal. A charge of causing the death of KISS Baking Company driver Neil Balai by dangerous driving on March 28th has been laid against a 30-year-old member of the Defense Force. On July 17th, Central Division Police confirmed that instructions were given for the suspect to be charged with causing Balai's death by dangerous driving. One count of dangerous driving, driving without an insurance certificate, failing to stop after an accident, and failing to render aid. The soldier was expected to be served via summons. Balai of Eccles Trace in Spring Village in Valsain was driving one of the company's Isuzu trucks on the southbound lane of the Solomon Huchai Highway at around 6:45 a.m. on March 28th when the accident occurred. He died on the spot. His co-worker, 34-year-old Terence Jagasa, who was a passenger in the seat, was injured. Dashcam footage shows a black Hyundai Ioniq car hit the truck from behind. On impact, the truck veered off the road and crashed. The car did not stop. Criminologist Professor Ramesh Deosaran has called on the government to quickly establish the police inspectorate, which was recommended by the Police Manpower Audit Committee. Deosaran said with a rising murder toll, which currently stands at 323 for this year, public desperation is growing and the authorities must now work to ensure the country does not reach a point of no return. The former chairman of the Police Service Commission said that government should quickly establish a police inspectorate unit to help monitor and assess station-to-station police performance from the ground level up and quickly report to the police executive any remedial action that may be required. He questioned why his widely supported proposal from the Independent Police Management Audit Committee was not being implemented. One former government minister is of the view Trinidad and Tobago is in need of international help to address its crime situation. Dr. Bo Tawari believes this foreign intervention is required in areas such as challenges relating to the gun trade, issues at the Customs and Excise Division, gang warfare, and borders control. He said he still believes there is a level of hope nationally. He made the remarks while speaking on the Power Breakfast Show on Wednesday. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Abandoned lots in Chaguanas are being cut by the Borough Corporation, according to Mayor Faiq Mohammed, as the fight against dengue continues. He says the corporation is covering expenses to carry out the venture. However, Mayor Mohammed is suggesting the government consider passing laws which will address instances where lots are not maintained. He said each electoral district in Chaguanas have 3 health evaluators who take part in cutting lots.
You always hear, let's cut the lots and we could build the owner. No, there's no legislation to build any owner. There's no rule, there's nothing to build any owners. So we need to look at laws in this country for owners to be charged, find a way to charge owners for empty lots being cut. To take care of their properties, basically, what is unkept.
The Ministry of Health confirms there are 303 laboratory-confirmed cases of dengue fever in Trinidad and Tobago. The Health Ministry has also confirmed an additional death, which now brings the death toll to 3. The public is reminded that dengue fever may be spread by the bite of an infected Aedes aegypti mosquito. Symptoms appear within 5 to 6 days of being bitten, last for 1 to 2 weeks, and can include fever, headaches, sometimes severe, pain behind the eyes, muscle and joint pains, skin rash, nausea or vomiting, and diarrhea. Anyone showing signs or symptoms of dengue fever should seek immediate medical treatment at their doctor or the nearest health facility. Citizens are being reminded the best means of reducing the incidence of mosquito-borne diseases is through the elimination of breeding sites of the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Well, finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, partly cloudy to cloudy conditions with scattered light to moderate showers. There's a medium chance of heavy showers or thunderstorms. Conditions are expected to become more settled by evening. Nighttime, partly cloudy to cloudy with a few showers and a low chance of the isolated heavy shower near midnight. Please note gusty winds and street or flash flooding may occur in near heavy showers or thunderstorms. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 32 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 26 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 27 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock. Floods caused by heavy rains yesterday affect residents of Rock Road, Penal, and its environs. Charges for solely of KISS driver's death in Cuba. Criminologist Professor Ramesh Diosarang calls on the government to quickly establish police inspectorate, and the Ministry of Health confirms another dengue death. I'm Avril Sindhilbab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You can join again. Come at 8 o'clock for our news brief, and then major news again at noon today. Quickly looking at traffic, a little heavy by Santa Rosa, a little heavy again by you pass through Aranguez as Kuro, heading towards Barataria, but after that, it's pretty much clear. A little congestion by Chase Village. But that's it. Nothing much to tell you about. Eastern Main Road going to Aruca towards St. Augustine. You got some volume there. All right. All right. Let's get into our poll again. Yeah. All right. Will you comply and assist police officers in the execution of their duties as required by law? Cynthia Aaron said no. Explore Trinidad says no. Lenny James says no. And David Nelson says no. All right, so we got 4 extra no's there. All right, let's get the results of our morning poll.
All right, so we had 42 people voting on the poll this morning. And of course, our poll is, will you comply and assist police officers in the execution of their duties as is required by law? I know one person who's saying yes for sure is Wendell. He will assist. So it's 42 people voted on the poll. Of the 42, You know, Wendell combative. I don't know what it is. Wendell combative. Tell the police, what? No. I'm not helping you.
Remember, he has issues with police, sir.
You're on your
He
own.
knows what police can do. Don't you know what police can do?
You like to go on the rabbit hole, eh? The
He
rabbit hole
knows
is
what
just
police
called you.
can do. Don't
The
you know
rabbit
what
hole is
police
just
can
called you
do?
and you just jump in. So anyway, 11 said yes. They would assist and they would do their duty and assist. And 31 people said, no way, Jose. We ain't assisting. So 31 said no, 11 said yes. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, throughout programming, and we'll give you the final result tomorrow morning, which will be Friday, because the weekend begins tonight, people, at the second half of midnight, because it is Thursday. I want to say happy birthday to my lovely, beautiful cousin, Jillian. Happy birthday, Jillian. I know you probably not even listening because you live in Florida, but happy birthday to you, Jillian. She is my younger cousin. I think she just turned 50-something today.
Oh,
which means you over 50.
No, did I say younger? I meant older.
Yes, you did. You said younger. Freudian slip.
Older cousin.
The truth shall set you free.
Yeah, I just did. My older cousin.
So we're waiting for Dr. Indar to log in. And whilst we do that, may we take some calls from you good people out there?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Absolutely.
You know, to be serious, within a reason I will assist, but it can be a confrontational situation because the environment to me doesn't lend itself to that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you don't know the circumstances of what happened. You just had you didn't play the video for people who didn't see it.
No, I didn't play the video. It was kind of confusing at times.
What was confusing?
The video.
How was it confusing?
I'm easily confused.
Apparently.
Clearly.
But anyway,
we have a call here.
You would think that the police officers, I mean, could have just come back and said, you know, you're required to assist. This is the law. Next time we ask you to assist, please do so. X, Y, Z. Rather than just coming.
I think most of the population didn't know that was a law too.
Rather than just coming and arresting the man, I mean, we're just taking what the maxi taxi driver said, of course. I mean, without knowing the full context, just going on that. But yeah, we have a call on the line. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Hey, big guy. Morning.
Morning. How y'all doing?
Not bad.
I saw a picture in the papers. It may be irrelevant to anybody, but a picture paints 1,000 words to say something like that. I have been to board meetings, contractor meetings, and everybody sits around a big, nice table. I've seen it on movies. I've seen it on national security people in America. I've seen it in Scarface, where he had all his henchmen around a table. I saw a picture of the meeting of trying to be a prime minister. And I thought it was a classroom, it was a class of the teacher. He had the head of the class, okay? He had a big desk at the head of the class. All his national security advisors sitting down on a squingy little chair. I give the meeting at a classroom. His assistant to the left, Mr. Hines to the left. To me, it looked very deploring. If you have a meeting like that, you should have a big table, right? And everybody sits around the table. In case they have to make notes, you don't have to write on the leg. You know, to me, I found that very backward. Really, really, really backward. I mean, it doesn't say anything. You all might be very think anything about it, but to me, that it looks bad. It looks bad for security.
Was that the security meeting you're talking about?
Yes. That was Bikini Express. It looks deplorable, really backward, really, really backward. You know, I've never seen a meeting of security council yet, and here they had a class like lecturing, and they wait on a chair, squishy little chair, with all their notes and everything on their legs, on their laps. I mean, come on, that should be past that.
Is that in today's Express?
No, 2 days ago. I can send it to you afterwards.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying, and there is some merit to the optics. Assuming what you're saying is correct, and there is some merit to the optics of something like that, and I agree with you in that sense. In that, if you are having a National Security Council emergency meeting, it should evoke power and control. And the optics of that matter. How people are positioned, how they look around the table needs to evoke that. Americans pay particular attention to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, the optics, correct.
Yeah, because it's a psychological, you're also sending a psychological warning.
Richard, did you see the picture?
No, I didn't. So
and I couldn't disagree more.
If it
because I saw the picture.
If it is,
you saw the picture?
What he said.
Yes.
I didn't see it.
Explain the picture you saw, Paul, please. Explain that picture, Paul.
I saw a boardroom-like setting. I saw the Prime Minister at the head of the table. I don't know where you get this perception that he was like a school teacher. The person who chairs the meeting usually sits at the head of the table. There were people, the Minister of National Security was on one side. It was a large table, so I don't know how you come to the conclusion that they had to write on the legs on the thing. I saw the Minister of Energy, I think, on one side, the Minister of Public Utilities, the Commissioner of Police, and some deputies. I don't know what picture you saw, but the picture I saw.
You saw a different, Paul, you saw a different picture than me.
No, I did not see a different picture.
Wait, what can I finish, please? He said at the bottom of the picture, National Security Council meeting chaired by the Prime Minister. I can send it to you if you saw.
You don't have to send it to me. I saw the picture.
Okay, so you guys want. So I'm. Let me what I'm saying is what I saw in the Express, and there was no board meeting, no board table. Everybody had their documents on their lap. All right. You okay? Have a nice day. Have a nice day.
All righty. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see the picture, but if what he was saying,
I didn't see it.
If it didn't evoke strength, I would have a problem. But if it did, then fine.
Good morning, Dr. Indar. She's logged on. I don't know if she's there yet. There's none who is so blind who cannot see. Good morning, Dr. Indar.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate you being with us this morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Could you just identify for us your official position in CARFA? You're the
Good morning again. I am the acting interim executive director for the Caribbean Public Health Agency.
Excellent. We thank you for being with us this morning. So I know what CARFA is, but could you identify for our audience what CARFA is and what CARFA does, please?
Okay, so CARFA is the single regional public health agency for the Caribbean. We were established by a legal agreement in July 2011, but we started operations in 2013. Everybody probably would have known of CAREC before, the Caribbean Epidemiology Center. But where CARFA was started, it's an amalgamation of the 5 regional health institutions. So CAREC and CFNIs, that's the Food and Nutrition and the Environmental Health Institutes, and others coming together so that you could have, 5 into 1, becoming a stronger, more integrated agency. So because of that, we call CARFA an integrated public health agency. This agency, in fact, is one of the few public health agencies. In fact, there's probably 1 or 2 worldwide like us, in that, we are responsible for providing technical cooperation and services in communicable diseases, non-communicable, so the traditional things. And then we have focal areas like, vector-borne diseases, which is a topic we're going to talk about today, and travelers' health and field epidemiology training and things like, we have laboratories like the clinical laboratory, but we also have an environmental food and waterborne laboratories, laboratories for drug testing. So we have an entire environmental health department. So we're really providing a suite of services, and it comes down into surveillance, emergency and response. So for instance, we are supporting Beryl's response to Hurricane Beryl at the time, technical cooperation, building capacity in countries to respond, to survey, and to prevent disease and control, so that, overall we have better health and well-being of not just our local population, but our visitor populations.
Yeah.
So I guess right now, a lot of your focus is being placed on dengue in the region, dengue fever in the region. Would that be correct?
Well, in a way, we are focusing on a lot. As I said, CAFA is all about improving the health of the region. So, for instance, Hurricane Beryl made its downfall as a Cat 5 on July 1, and our countries were devastated, some of our countries. And so as a consequence, post-disaster, obviously you're going to have that increased risk of infectious diseases, food safety, and vector-borne diseases and other things. So we are focusing on Beryl response, and we're also focusing, we're now in the rainy season. So as a consequence of the high rainy season, you're going to see increases in dengue and other mosquito-borne infections. So yes, there is focus on that as well.
So is dengue something that crops up every rainy season and across the Caribbean? It becomes an issue every year?
Yes. So we're in the Caribbean. The Caribbean is endemic because, of course, we host the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. So therefore, as rainfall increases, you would have that more rains, more accessibility to breeding sites, obviously. And so you would generally see increases in dengue and perhaps other arboviral infections. So this is something we note. We because of our surveillance trends, we know that, of course, that come rainy season. Of course, with climate change, we are noticing that some of that pattern, you can't just definitely say rainy season, because, sometimes you have heavy rains just ad hoc, and you would see, that consequence of increased arbovirus and other infectious diseases.
Yeah. Is it any worse this year, or is it comparatively kind of trending the same way it does every year?
That's a very good question. So not to give away countries' names or anything like that, because we're not at liberty, but what we are seeing is pockets of increases in many countries. And that level of increase has been higher than normal, but our rainfall patterns have also been higher than normal. So we are seeing the increases, but together with that increase, we also seeing the interventions in countries, whether it be whatever the prevention measures in terms of source reductions and public health messaging and so on, to really counteract that.
I know CAFA is very data driven, and so you track trends. So I guess that's why you would have been able to answer and say we've seen a slight or moderate increase. How does this year's incidences of dengue compared perhaps to the last 3 to 5 years?
Right. So from the data we have, I want to say that the increases are a bit higher. I don't want to create any alarm, because we are in the rainy season and our rainfall patterns has been higher. Just yesterday, for instance, Trinidad and Tobago, you had a whole ton of rain. And so obviously you're going to once you have a lot of rain, you're going to have increased accessibility for breeding sites. So generally, if we were to look, as you see that trend, you will see that the trend is slightly higher in some countries. And this is not just experience in one, but kind of general over the Caribbean.
Has there been any research done regionally or internationally on a potential relationship post-COVID to the numbers we're seeing? Because by now a lot of herd immunity would have occurred. COVID passed through, the globe went through COVID, the region responded to COVID in a particular way. We had our own incidences in Trinidad and Tobago across the region, but is there any data or research on that, what we may be seeing this year post-COVID that may have been different to past years pre-COVID?
So the short answer is no. We haven't done, there's a lot of research that's been done on COVID, obviously, and COVID is still a pandemic, obviously, too. But with respect to, let's say, with respect to only vector-borne, no. But we have seen, of course, as you know, if you're predisposed to any infectious disease, it means then it increases your risk for another infectious disease. If you have an NCD, it increases your risk. So there is, the science behind all that, but some of these, no, we don't have that definite empirical evidence as yet.
What is dengue? Very basic question.
So it's an infectious disease, caused by the dengue virus. So first, it's a virus. It's really transmitted by, the bite of a mosquito. So for instance, you may get bitten and you instantly get a high fever. And, in addition to the fever, you get some joint pains and all of that. It may likely be dengue, but you get bitten by a mosquito, more than likely Aedes aegypti, and you get instant high fever and joint pain and so on. You start to feel sick. That can be dengue, but it could be something else. So we always tell persons, if you're bitten by a mosquito, if you have high fever and so on, get tested. At the moment, we have a circulation in the Caribbean. There are 4 dengue types: dengue 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you are bitten by one, if you've had one, you may have some degree of immunity. But however, with all these circulating types, you may have one, but you may not be immune to the other. Risk of transmission, of course, is always increased through, if you're bitten by a mosquito, avoid being bitten again, because the mosquito is the vector. So I may be bitten and I may have, I may have fever and so on. It's best to stay at home, isolate yourself for a couple of days, because at the point of when I'm bitten, then when I'm infectious, if a mosquito bites me, then it can then go bite someone else and they can be infected. So we, because of that cycle, we tell persons avoid being bitten. Of course, in the Caribbean, you can't tell people wear long sleeve clothes, and you can't also tell your visitors that, but we just say avoid being bitten using the repellents and using the mosquito nets as much as possible. And then from a community level, we really have, that responsibility for cleanup. We see cleanup in one place, a nice hotel or cleanup, but then next door, you see like a whole ton of bush, right? And that's going to have breeding sites. All it takes is for mosquitoes to breed. The soft drink, the soft drink, the bottled water cover, that small cover. That's all the amount it takes for mosquitoes to breed. So from the community level, we have to do the cleanup. That is going to reduce breeding sites. If you reduce source reduction, you're going to reduce dengue and other vector-borne diseases. Yeah, other arboviral diseases.
I mean, I know, for example, that yellow fever has a preventative vaccine. Is there a preventative vaccine for dengue? And if not, why not?
You're asking me some difficult questions here today. No, there is a lot of research. There is, of course, preventative vaccine for yellow fever and its policy. And in fact, when you travel to many countries in the Caribbean, come into the Caribbean, you have to have yellow fever. But no, there isn't. And there is a lot of research that is being done at the moment. But no, there isn't one at the moment. So the big prevention is the surveillance, knowing what's happening, knowing what's upcoming, and advising the public, to protect themselves, and advising community about source reductions.
In terms of the Ministry of Health and I suppose CAFA would have some intersect here, you would have certain areas that may be more prone to dengue outbreaks, and certainly incidences are higher in certain areas. Why is it there a reluctance from a public health point of view to identify areas and say, look, if you're living in, I'm just naming arbitrary areas, I don't mean these areas have it. If you're living in Mayaro, Rio Claro, Pinal, Debe, and Santa Cruz, you are at a higher risk because there is an outbreak, blah, 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 blah. So be more vigilant, even Why you don't get that kind of a distinction? There always seems to be a reluctance to identify areas, and which might be helpful to the citizens in those areas. And I always think more information is better, but maybe from a public health point of view, it's not. How would you look at that?
So let me try to answer it like this. So mosquitoes kind of know no boundaries, so they can easily be, to use your arbitrary locations, they could easily be penal, and they can fly around the place, or somebody could easily be infected in penal and travel around infected and then infect somebody in Port of Spain. So we really try to talk about community-wide intervention, and that really, and country-wide intervention that overall brings source reduction. That's the general thing. You want to talk about overall types of infection. And there is community infection. So the Ministry of Health is doing, I want to say intensive and as well as focused surveillance. We're sure that we're working with Ministry of Health to support that, where they're working in areas that, where they're seeing from their data that there is, an increased amount of cases in a certain time, time, place, person. They're doing that in terms of focusing. But you don't want to say only in this community when, the country might also be at risk, because you're at also the season and how did the disease spread, because everyone is at risk.
Yeah.
You mentioned, Dr. Indar, 4 types of dengue earlier on. Are any of those types more virulent than the others, or do they present differently?
No, not necessarily. So the variation in types is more a type of genotypic variance. When in terms of how it's presented, it depends on susceptibility and immunity. Something new. You remember when COVID came, it was new. So everybody got sick because we didn't have immunity. But then you had persons who were more susceptible because they were probably older, they had some underlying illness, or they were probably younger. So all of those are factors. So I can't say to you, Mr. Richards, well, you're less likely because you look healthier. You might have some underlying disease. So depending on when it comes and depending on the susceptibility and the immunity of the populations, the symptoms vary. So you may have, of course, severe illness, very severe, or you may have the fever and the joint pains and so on.
Is there a point, sorry, Paul, is there a point that once you suspect that you have dengue, even though the symptoms may be mild in your mind, because there is a trend by many Caribbean people to be afraid of hospitals. I don't want to find out. We have that kind of mindset about certain things medically. If it is, but for people listening to the program and watching us, is it once you suspect you have dengue, even if it's mild symptoms, that you should seek medical assistance?
Absolutely. You want to know what's going on. We live in a society where everybody likes to diagnose themselves, but I mean, it could be that, it could be something else. You want to diagnose, and if you know what is happening, you're able to treat and you're able to prevent. I remember one of my close family members years ago had dengue, and I literally isolated them, in a bedroom, and says, well, okay, we can't afford for you to have to be bitten or for the rest of the household to get sick, by a mosquito biting you and biting other persons. So you really want to have to do your part too. So yes, absolutely seek medical attention.
What is the course of treatment that people should not take? Let's start with that, because there are some problems that have arisen because people are taking the wrong type of medication, exacerbating their situation and putting themselves at further risk.
So while we can't say, well, take this medication against another, there is, you're treating for fever and joint pains. So there are general types of medication that is for that. And then there are medications that, so I'm trying to answer this very, yes, diplomatic, but there are medications that may not be the one that is, recommended, or it may not be a medically recommended medication. So what we recommend is do what the doctor says. So it's important to go to the doctor. They are very well aware, and they can easily, they would have the experience to be able to say, well, this looks like dengue, we will do a test, but this is the course of treatment to take. And that does mean some form of isolation as well, plus medical treatment. And they will also know your severity. So it might mean simple something that reduces fever and pain, or it may mean something else.
Understood.
There's no quick over-the-counter test for dengue, is there?
We tend to recommend that you go. There are different types of test kits, and I mean this is another topic. You may have a rapid test kit, right? But what we tend to recommend is a test kit that allows you to give you, 90% sensitivity and verification, because you want to know what's happening. So we do the PCR test, and we do that very quickly at CAFA. We do that for many countries, and countries also have accessibility for that as well. So we always prefer, and I don't know if you remember, Paul, when there was COVID and everybody was saying, why you all are doing PCR? Well, as a public health agency, we wanted to be sure, and we always try to go above 80, in fact, 90% in terms of sensitivity. So that's what we recommend.
I'm going to do a proviso and say this question may put you on the spot. So I apologize. Our Ministry of Health, and I know you want to steer away from comparisons, but would you say that our Ministry of Health has indicated that we have 303 lab tested cases? Is that high for the Caribbean average, or compared to the Caribbean average right now?
So again, let me answer it like this. When we see a large number of tests, it could be an indication of many things. It could be an indication of the fact that the Ministry of Health is being more vigilant because they're doing more surveillance, all right? Because you may have situations, and not particular to any country, where you're seeing increases in syndromes, but you're not seeing the lab tests required. So the way how I look at it from where I say, Ministry of Health, when I see tests coming, Ministry of Health is improving their vigilance and improving their surveillance, and let us, find out what it is and get onto the problem and deal with it.
That's a very diplomatic answer. I understand why you have to answer that, because then somebody's going to quote you and you'll hear the front page tomorrow, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, I don't want to be
higher
quoted
than
like
region
that.
Caribbean average, and Dr. Lisa in there, and then somebody's calling you, and why did you say that? I understand why you have to be very careful in terms of protocol of how you answer the question.
But testing is always good. It means that a country is doing, you have syndromes, you have testing helps you to verify, and then you prevent. Yes.
How would you rate the Caribbean response to dengue this year? And are there other regions in the world that are showing increases or upticks in dengue fever?
Yes, so this pattern is not just for Trinidad and Tobago. We have seen increases, in Latin America. We have seen global increases, and of course it's related to, it's a seasonal type pattern and so on. And I would say, the Caribbean is doing well. That we are doing what we are supposed to do. We're doing the surveillance, we're doing the testing, we're doing the response, we're doing the source reduction. Is there room for improvement? Like anybody, there's always room for improvement, but we keep at it. So I would say that, our countries are doing well because they know they're doing surveillance, all the different aspects of surveillance. And, it's easy sometimes for someone to say, well, cases are high, and what is the country doing, and what is our ministry? But it does take a lot of work in the background to get it done. Yes. So we always have to remember that what we see out there, that you have to think about all the other things that are happening in the back that, is actually happening to reduce and protect the health of the populations.
Given that dengue is, of course, insect-borne, vector-borne disease, this might be a very ignorant question, but do you think we'll ever see a situation where dengue could be potentially eradicated?
That's one of the easiest question, and the answer will be obviously no. I mean, you can't kill all the mosquitoes, so this is why the biggest thing is about prevention. And there's lots of, as you say, research. There's a lot of research that talks about, how you can to get rid of the mosquitoes, but it's very difficult. We're living in that endemic region. So it's all about reduction, and we have to do our part too. And I know I bring up COVID, but everybody keeps saying COVID is done, but COVID is still here, and we have to do our part. If we're sick, stay at home or stay apart as much as possible, and to prevent infections, because people are still getting sick. So we have to do our part about the source reduction. And if we're sick, go get tested, clean up around your environments and so on, so that as a community, we help reduce.
Is neighborhood fogging or spraying effective in managing the mosquito populations?
So yes, when it is, a concentrate, and when it is done with the right type of chemicals and so on, that is always a form of prevention, but that's not the only one. So we don't want to say, well, look, we got fogged out last night, and this morning I can get up and, that everything is going to be okay. It's one form of prevention.
What's the cycle for stagnant water, mosquito-laced lava evolves into a mosquito that's dangerous? Aedes aegypti.
Right. So from the time you get bitten, so it's about around around 21 days, but it goes around. So you have to, but then because you have so much mosquitoes around the place, you don't know where it's happening, and you want to first avoid that breeding site. So from the type, because by the time you have water and mosquitoes, within 7 days, you may have that whole cycle coming around. But then wherever, and that's your same backyard, you may have something else happening, and it may be in a different cycle. So we again, I know I'm saying this, but we focus on source reduction, cleanup, to avoid any cycles.
So that's your central message this morning, that people should be proactive, clean up their surroundings. What about, well, I might clean my yard and make sure my containers are turned down and I don't have stagnant water. But as you said, I could do all I want to do, but there's an empty lot next to me, or there's a ravine with some bottle cap close by that I have no control over. How is it that there should be a particular state response in addition to individual persons' responses or companies' corporate responses?
Yeah, all of that, I would say. So you want to do all of that. You want to make good friends with your neighbors, do cleanup, do community cleanup, because the state may not have all the resources, or even aware, well, the ravine in the back by you is plugged up or stagnant. So all of that. And of course, you have your local ministries of health and your local environmental health departments. And if you're seeing that, go contact them, and they will come, they will respond. But just don't depend on that too. It's all, the focus is cleanup, but community interventions too. Talk to your neighbors, or get together and do some cleanup, and get the Ministry of Health and say, well, come and let's do some cleanup.
All right. Anything you want to add before we close?
Yeah, I want the populations to recognize that this infectious disease is, is highly infectious, that, sometimes we have the, the nuance that, well, it's just a mosquito bite, but I might be more resistant, and my child or my grandma who's older might be less resistant. So we got to protect ourselves and protect everyone. So avoid being bitten. If you're bitten, if you get sick, get tested, I repeat, and let's do the source reductions.
All right, Dr. Linda, thank you for being with us this morning. We appreciate the information.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Keeping everybody safe. Thank you so much.
Very informative.
Bye.
All right, thank you.
All the best.
Dr. Lisa Inda, who is the interim director of CARFA, the Caribbean Public Health Agency. We were talking about dengue, and the central message was source reduction and being proactive in cleaning up your environment. And she said, report to the Ministry of Health. So I guess, dare I say, your local government authority. That might work too. But take personal responsibility.
Do private pest control companies also spray? I don't know. I'm asking.
I don't know.
I have no clue.
Okay, we can open the phone lines now.
Question like that, all I can answer.
Well, you can't say it. Call your mayor.
You rail on my mayor, boy. You rail on my mayor.
Because he's so effective and he's the breath of fresh air in the local government environment.
You watch the show, eh? So you marking you.
Good morning, Mayor Maharaj. Your worship. Is borough worship? Oh, your worship for the borough, right?
Yeah.
Or your city, not a borough. No, your worship.
We
Your
are
borough.
We are borough. We're not a city.
You're not a city yet. Well, you're certainly a smart city.
Right. Well, we're not there yet. Maybe we need to get the Minister of Planning on the show to find out what the hell is going on with Arima and that smart city project. I don't know why I'm so invested in this. I don't know why it's bottom of my head,
I don't know myself.
Because you're a patriot and you're so passionate about your country and your area, Richard.
It's like, remember when I talked about the street lights in Arima? They're still very poor. I don't know what's going on with TNTech. Is TNTech suffering? They have no street lights? I don't know. I have to assume that it is because, and I don't understand the councillors of Arima. And if you all are listening, maybe you could take some measure of action, but drive around central Arima and look at the lighting and the street lighting. That is so many areas are so dark and gloomy and horrible.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of places, Rich.
How big a fix is that as a councillor? If as a councillor you can't get street lights up and running, then what we bothering to vote for?
Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Mr. Patrick.
Good morning, Mr. Patrick.
I have a friend who was here last week from the street. He was here last Christmas. And he asked me, what's the problem on O'Mara Road? Or I was staying so long ago.
O'Mara Road. I saw people bringing it up in the comment section, Mr. Patrick, and people are saying it seems as if the work has stopped, as if it's on a standstill.
So he said, well, okay, now. He said that's about big contractors in China and they can't build a little road like that.
Yeah, it seems to be taking inordinately long. And of course it's creating a traffic situation that's really not to mention the amount of dust and ridiculousness, but
dirty and rough and bumpy and everything, boy.
It's terrible.
I listen to the doctor just now, and Paul Richard has to ask you a question. If you clean in your yard and the neighbor have a big empty lot of forest, what to do? And I keep saying,
that's a puzzling issue because you have areas that are in development that were previously like forests, but has now developed, and a big portion of them have now been built and stuff like that. But those that have not built, it's still forested. Are they to blame for that?
And like nobody cutting the land.
Well, I mean, in real legacy places that have been built up a while, and you see, there are some places that were semi-built and then have become overgrown. I think that is much more of a hazard than a forested area, where people are now gradually developing. It's you have all sorts of context and differing developments in this country. But certainly in a
lot of land in a residential area.
Yeah.
And like nobody seems to know who the owner is. And the boy telling me that if the gate locked, they can't go in there. So when Dengue mash up the whole blah, 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 then they will go in and start a fog.
But it could still fog on out.
Once the lockers man cut off the prayer and look for the address of the man by looking through the tax paper based on the lot status, you must know the owner.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, Mr. Patrick.
I understand.
Have a good one. All right. Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
You know, that's the reason why I was calling is for that particular situation. You know, I heard the Mayor Shagona saying that they needed laws to cut vacant lots or open overgrown land. That is not so, you know. They already have laws on the books, local government, to allow corporations to do that. But because of the difficulty in the whole administrative arrangement, it's less likely to happen, particularly in rural areas. If you live, for instance, in Tunapuna, and the corporation is looking to cut a vacant lot, to find the owner, they have to go to the revenue district office. If that's in Tunapuna Regional Corporation, if it's in Port of Spain or in Point Fortin or San Fernando, where they have their own assessment department, they have their own register of the properties, and it's easy. That's a phone call away to find out who actually owns the lot. If you live in a rural area, you have to go to another office, and it's a long, drawn-out sort of process. So local government reform would have dealt with all those things in the sense that each corporation would have their own assessment section of all the properties. They will have all the owners and things, and it'll be easy to kind of call them and tell them, look, you're a lot overgrown, or sometimes some people might respond to that. Sometimes they don't respond. You could give them a notice. They might respond. Sometimes they're abroad. You could give them a notice and sending people to cut the property and bill that and put that to the land tax. Those are things that I know for a fact happening right now in some corporations. But some of these things happen under the radar. And it would have been nice if in the reform process they get all these things fixed. And what I was telling Wendell, basically, in order for local government reform to go forward, you need to have all the councillors generally agreeing that change is proceeding and therefore participate in certain things, because a corporation now would have to establish their own assessment department, and therefore they would need some input from the central government in transferring the information and all these things. But if one or if any party decides they're not participating in kind of operationalizing it, it could be very difficult. And I when I look at these things with these vacant lots, I see that I could tell you maybe 40 years ago, I would have contacted a owner by telephone and say, hey, you have 3 lots on so street. They're overgrown, we'd like you to cut them. The person might say, hey, I'll get back to you. And take a number and call back and say, hey, I'm sending some men to cut them. Another person might respond, but there are processes to do it.
So, sir, can I ask you something?
Without the overall reform, we kind of stuck in this.
Right. So can I ask you something based on that comment?
Yeah.
Right. So the argument is that there are some corporations that are unwilling to cooperate with the Ministry of Local Government / the minister / the government who champion local government reform, right? That's the argument. And that's why it has been stymied so far. There are 7 P&M controlled corporations. Why aren't those also moving forward?
All right, let me give an example. Take wages, for instance. The wages for the councillors. That's something that the Salary Reviews Commission will have to look at and think. To me, I think it could be inappropriate if the PNMers to go ahead, because they are corporations, and go ahead deal with the SRC. I don't know how that would work.
No, I'm not saying for the government to go ahead with the PNM control corporations alone, I'm saying for the government to do what they have to do, and who come on board, and who don't come on board, they'll have to answer to the purchases.
Well, the thing is, I have a little difficulty with that. The way I look at it, I think Mr. Alwari has kind of failed in making the case as strongly as he could to let people realize that wait, now, for this thing to really get going effectively. Because what I feel would happen is Trinidad and Tobago. City government was to decide, well, look, some aspects of it we'll try to force it down in the areas that we have under control. You know, as the next step, litigation.
No, I'm not saying force it in areas that we have control. I am saying do what you have to do. Make the resources equally available and the transition processes to all corporations, and you only have control over who is willing to participate. You're going to stymie the whole process, get all the bad name in the book because some don't want to participate. That's the argument, and some do.
That proposition I could agree with in the sense that you're putting everything available to all, and who want to make.
Because right now nothing seems to be happening with any of them.
But the thing is, I could tell you that this process is so necessary to kind of shake up, because something like that, like how you're talking about that vacant lot. I telling you, if you call San Fernando and tell them about a vacant lot that you know about, that you would like to be cut, I guarantee you will get some sort of response about who's the owner, or what and what they're doing and what in an organized manner, not a vike, well, they ain't sure who own it or what. But I'll end by saying this. I have a vacant lot next to me in the area where I live, which is a rural area. So I know the difficulty. And I take exercise by keeping it low, So it's at a state now where I could pick up my brush cutter and go and keep it low, and so crime and mosquitoes and what have you. But everybody do their part and things could work out very easily. Right?
I think it's always very easy to, the opposition, and the opposition controlled corporations didn't support reform, so they're not supporting and they're stymieing the process. Well, you have 14 corporations, if I'm not mistaken, now, including 2 city corporations, or 3 now. 2 city corporations and 4 Point Fortin, Superior, Arima, and Diego Martin, right? 4 borough corporations, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do what you have to do.
All right. Hear what that
Make excuses.
Hear what that say. As an independent senator, I would have liked you, just so you're making that point here, to make that point in the parliament. It would have been much stronger. And I have a lot of respect for you.
Make it more. Make it again.
Yeah. Well,
make it in a different language. Make it in a talk Spanish and say it.
So they're calling out for vacant lots to be cut. And that's a phone call where I telling you, if you check San Fernando. How about the
excuses? Just excuses after excuses after excuses.
All right. So you are very upset, and I don't intend my day to be infected by it. So
I agree with you.
But it's just excuses.
So I'm close to the weekend, and I want to have a positive day.
We heard the other day, I don't know how true it is, that they will spray after somebody get bite. What?
What?
The weekend has begun, people.
And according to Richard, what is astounding to me, the abject silence from the Ministry of Local Government on the reform process and the status of it is astounding to me. The silence is deafening.
Mm-hmm.
But again, plenty of that.
Have a fantastic rest of the day, people. Whatever you do, remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. Good morning, Avi.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Until tomorrow morning, when Wendell will join us as well.
Have a good day and smile and laugh. It's good for your health. And dance and wine.
He got in a bad mood.
Oh.
We should just go to news now.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is time for your news updates at 8 o'clock. I'm Afro Centel Bob. Good morning. Dr. Lisa Indar of CARFA says that there is a higher increase of the dengue virus this year throughout the Caribbean and in Trinidad and Tobago. However, she explained that the rainy season has been a bit more severe this year as well. She told the Power Breakfast Show this morning that the data available to CARFA suggests that there has indeed been an increase in transmission. She said if someone has an NCD or non-communicable disease, it increases their risk of getting the illness. She said that there are 4 dengue types circulating throughout the Caribbean. She said if someone is bitten and infectious, they should stay at home and isolate for a few days, since a mosquito could bite them and infect someone else outside of the home. She also explained that it does not take much for the mosquito to breathe So it's extremely important for persons to clean up their surroundings. She revealed even if someone believes they have mild symptoms, they should seek medical attention and have themselves tested to ensure that they do not have the dengue virus. She noted that the symptoms that are found in someone who has the virus can also be found in other illnesses, so getting medical help is important. She said that an increase in the virus is being seen in other Caribbean countries. However, she said that response and surveillance is quite good throughout the region. The Ministry of Health is confirming an additional dengue death. The death toll now stands at 3. The Health Ministry has confirmed there are 303 laboratory-confirmed cases of dengue fever in Trinidad and Tobago. The public is being reminded that dengue fever may be spread by the bite of an infected Aedes aegypti mosquito. Symptoms appear within 5 to 6 days of being bitten, last for 1 to 2 weeks, and can include fever, headaches, sometimes severe, pain behind the eyes, muscle and joint pains, skin rash, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Anyone showing signs or symptoms of dengue fever should seek immediate medical attention at their doctor or the nearest health facility. And abandoned lots in Chaguanas are being cut by the Borough Corporation, according to Mayor Faiq Mohammed, as the fight against dengue continues. He says the corporation is covering expenses to carry out the venture. However, Mayor Mohammed is suggesting the government consider passing laws which will address instances where lots are not maintained. He said each electoral district in Chaguanas have 3 health evaluators who take part in cutting lots. Well, that was your news update at 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full at 12 noon.